everyone, I'm Amber and today we're going to be reviewing the movie Old. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. There probably will be spoilers. There usually is. I'm very sorry. I can't do a spoil-free review for the life of me. I try to do it at the beginning. Never happens. You're going to watch my video, there's probably going to be some kind of spoiler. So, just fair warning. I did not like this movie. I wanted to so much. It looked so good. And right now, with the pandemic going on, I'm just like, you need a good movie. Sometimes you just need that movie. And that did not happen for me. My mom had watched it. She warned me, said it wasn't good. I wanted to still give it a chance because I was still excited for it. I knew if she didn't like it, I probably wouldn't like it, but then we also have different tastes for some things, and I did not like it. The whole concept, great, interesting, made me intrigued to see what this movie was going to be about, and so thus the plot, brilliant. And I know it was based off from a video I saw, like a little book. It was a book with a bunch of short stories in it or something like that. It was like a novella kind of thing. I'm not quite sure. I've never seen it. I've only heard this through the video I saw. But other than that, it just seemed like a very interesting movie. Me, who likes reading books before they watch the movie, you can't keep up with all the movies coming out, and I haven't even heard of the books. So maybe I would have picked up the book if I had enjoyed the movie, because sometimes that happens. I always say the book is better than the movie, but there have been some pretty good movies out there and some really good books that do a lot better. But that being said, I this movie did not make me want to pick up the book, but in watching that video, I saw that the book was a little bit different, but still maybe not my cup of tea. So I probably won't pick it up, but it was very interesting. And in terms of the movie as a standalone, because it was also, from what I saw in that video, very different from the book, I wouldn't pick up the book anyway. Just because it had some ideas from it or anything, like, it doesn't mean that, like, I would pick it up, because I don't feel like it was properly executed, and some of the ideas that I was seeing and things going on that I was seeing wasn't really feeling it. So in that being said, uh I went into this movie, had a lot of high expectations, and I was greatly disappointed because they, first of all, they go to the beach fairly quickly, very early on in the movie, and I wanted some more development. We kind of just get introduced to this main family first, and the parents of the family are splitting up, and this is like their last hurrah, but then they're like shown arguing, and the kids are in the other room, and I'm like, how is this supposed to be a good vacation if you're literally arguing in the other room? Like, what are we trying to prove here? What are we trying to do here? The kids clearly know what is going on. The daughter is old enough. The son is smart enough, from what we can see. So I don't understand, like, why waste their time doing that. But I can see the intention, and I'm like, okay. And then we don't really know why they are there, how they found that place. She just said that she found it on the internet, but then she later goes on to say that she found a brochure at her clinic or wherever she went because she has a tumor, but turns out it's like benign, or it's not like that severe. And I guess that's the only thing that was holding their marriage together. So the husband is like, well, what about your tumor? But then it, like, it just gets more confusing the more they keep talking, because it's like, wait, wasn't this 5 seconds ago? Or like, it seems like they just keep changing what is happening. And so, okay, my lamp wants to do its own thing. Okay. So one minute they say this, one minute they say that. At first it feels like they just don't want to be together anymore, they're not happy. And then he's like, what about your tumor? And so it seems like that's the only thing that's keeping them together, but it seems like he cares about her because he's saying that. And then later on it's revealed that she kind of was into somebody else, or she was having an affair or whatever. And then they have a conversation on the beach where he's like, I saw the text messages, he's no good for you, why would you even fall for that? You need someone who is going to be like good for you even if that's not me. And like, I she seems like a fairly smart woman, so I don't understand if that's the case, why she would be attracted to just anyone who comes her way. Maybe there was more to it. Maybe she was feeling a certain way because of the cancer. I don't know. I would have liked more explanation. The dad, uh, who coincidentally is named Guy, and he has a wonderful accent. I don't know from where. Uh, and it reminds me of the guy from Fahrenheit 451. Uh, and I did not like that book when I first read it, and now like it's funny enough that I do like it, but I haven't reread it. I just kind of grew older and I was like, hey, that was an interesting book. But yeah, going off on a tangent there. But basically he seems like a very smart guy. He is well put together. He shows up at the beach in a button up and then his like swimming trunks, and I'm like, you look like you're going to an office meeting from the top half and then in the water with your swim trunks. I don't understand. But yeah, and then I think like the son later on in the end of the movie, he's wearing his dad's like the daughter's wearing her mom's like shawl, and the boy is wearing I think the dad's shirt, but I think it's a different color. I'm not sure if it was yellow throughout the whole entire movie. Could have sworn it was like a lightish blue, but I'm not sure. But I did pay attention to the fact that he was wearing a shirt, so I would think I remember the color. But then I'm like, where did he get the other shirt? Maybe the dad brought it. I don't know. I don't know. So it kind of makes sense that when the girl gets like caught in the coral when they're trying to get out, like I guess she like I was like, why don't you just take it off? But I guess she had that attachment to it. But again, that wasn't really made to like we didn't notice it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Like, or we wouldn't have like picked that up unless we really thought about it. Um, but then I'm like going all over the place. I don't think I have ever done a review where I can start from the beginning and go to the end. It's always going to go in pieces. Uh, and I try, but that's how it happens. Even though I would like to be able to, but yeah. But I hope in the end it all comes together and makes sense. But yeah, so the dad was cool, and I guess in him being that way, we kind of understand why the son was a little bit more mature. He like at the beginning, at first, he seemed like he was very shy, and then he automatically started talking to the person who owns the place's nephew, who's not supposed to be walking around. But I'm like, then why is he there? Why is your nephew there? Why is it not like his son? It's like his nephew. It's like, but where is the father of the nephew? I don't understand. um and so they go and they hang out, and then suddenly he's all confident and everything, and he's very intelligent, we could see that. And he goes and he starts asking people what are their names and their jobs, and then they run away, and it's like a little kid game, and it's interesting. But that is something that their friendship and what they do in that those scenes, it proves to be something that will help them later on. uh the note that the caretaker's nephew gives him, because they develop a special little code to like talk to each other, he got it in the bus, and if he was as excited before to like decode it, why wasn't he as excited afterward? Was it just the whole thing of the beach? I just think that he would have done it a little bit earlier, so when like they're just building a sandcastle at the end, and he's like, I never decoded that, and she's like, you should probably do that, and it's just like kind of like we're having like a little somber moment, like okay, and then he's like, wait, I found out this incredible life-saving thing, and it's like, we could have maybe figured that out earlier, or spent a good portion of the movie trying to figure out what that meant, because who knew that there was coral down there, and like we didn't see the whole coral bed that apparently is like coming out of the water until like the very end, and I was just like, when did that get there? And like if the guy who was the girl with the woman with epilepsy's husband, the nurse, who apparently knew way more than the doctor, um, if he went out and to see, like, I think did he faint or did he black out and he drowned? But then didn't he go in the direction of the coral? So when he had found, I don't know, Um, I'm glad that they didn't show the dog dead. That made me happy. There were certain things. There were certain things. My computer is weird. Um, there were certain things that happened where it cut off really quick. In the beginning, it was just like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Somehow, two of the kids end up in a little tent together and they're hugging. And I'm like, why are you there hugging? You barely even know each other. Now you're talking to this girl has barely even came out, and now you're there. And then suddenly she's pregnant, and it's like, but how? I need explanation. I need to know how this happened. And then the boy, who is now a grown, like, I think he's like in his 18s around there, um, and he's like, I'm gonna marry her, and this, and clearly he still has the mentality like of a kid. But then the girl, who is the daughter of the doctor, and um, the lady who is kind of very caught up in her appearance, and she has like a calcium deficiency, and then she ends up turning into like some kind of paranormal thing in the caves later on, because when time progresses, like it's kind of like, oh, now we're gonna go to the next step of what would have happened to you. And apparently with a calcium deficiency, she turns into the exorcist, and it's just like, and then she's like, I need my calcium, and I'm just like, but how do you get like that from a calcium deficiency? And it terrified me, because I'm like, I have a calcium deficiency, not like severe, but it's like I don't have enough calcium. I take calcium, like, what? Like it's terrifying, and I'm just like, I don't think that happens to you, but okay. And then the whole thing with the fact that things happen to these people that were so dramatic and severe that it just, I don't think would have happened. I think the most authentic thing that happened was the old lady that just kind of died. It just was like, that's it. The progression of life. That is it. Like, there's just other things that just didn't make sense, like the lady's tumor that was benign or wasn't that big of a deal, and then suddenly it was huge, and then they were able to just like, yes, they had to like pry her thing open with their hands, because it kept closing, because they heal quickly with time progressing. And but then like, I'm over here sitting here like, how would the universe know that it would just heal? Like, wouldn't that become infected if it was open? Or wouldn't she have had some internal damage because it was open? Like, it wouldn't have just healed. She would have had maybe like a funky scar wound, like nothing. It was just like close, and I'm just like, and then the tumor is this huge, and he just literally reaches for it and grabs him, just like, people go to the hospital and get surgery and try not to cut certain nerves. Like, how did you just grab it and pluck it out of her? I don't understand. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Things just kept happening very quickly, and they didn't make sense, and it just felt like it was just for the drama of the movie. And then yeah, it just goes back to that whole like, how do you know that that's what would have happened? Like when the guy, the doctor at the end who goes crazy and wants to kill everybody and apparently has like this schizophrenia type thing, and it was just like, what? And he gets stabbed by a rusted knife, and then it's like the lady's like, the poison in on the rust is gonna kill him, and then he starts like decomposing right in front of us, and I'm just like, how do you know what? And then I'm like, what does this lady do? I was like, this lady works for like antiques and stuff, doesn't she? Like like what was it? Like she worked with like museum, I don't know, like something along those lines, like anthropology kind of thing. How would she know about like, I guess she would know how a body decomposes, but it's just like she knew more than the doctors, or the nurse rather, and the doctor when it came to that. Um, and also going back to like these kids, things keep happening to them, and at first it's doesn't feel like their mind is growing along with their bodies, and then suddenly they're just like adults and they're thinking like adults, and there's some like ways in which they speak in their mannerisms that are still kind of young, but by the end you can see that they act like they've had a full education, and it's just like, that is not possible. Like, they shouldn't have progressed this much mentally. Like, physically, yes, because they're growing older, but it's like, I don't understand how you now know words and can speak words that you didn't know before, and you wouldn't have learned these things unless you had gone to school. And that doesn't happen. Like, again, does the universe know this child is going to go to school eventually, so this is how they would turn out? It's like, no. No. They would still be, like, basically, like, kids in their mind, and they would be talking like kids at the end. The whole like, let's make a sandcastle. Like, yes, okay, but then the way that they're talking is just like, yeah, you no, I don't agree with this. Like, you should not be talking that way. I don't understand. And then the fact that we went from one scene to another just so we wouldn't see some things, or some things it felt like, so they wouldn't explain some things, it just was irritating. Um and yeah, things were overly dramatic. People kept dying. Um, and sometimes it was just like, you didn't need to die. Why did this happen? Um, one the little girl ended up falling off a cliff because she was going crazy and everything, and she wanted to get out. That's understandable. Um, and then the old lady. Like, those are like the only ones that really made sense to me. The other ones were just too dramatic. And then when this girl had her baby, she, like, the baby, they said, died of not having enough attention. And the thing is, if their estimation in the beginning was right, that they age, like, I think 2 or 5 years every 30 minutes, like, they're taking the baby out of her. And first of all, like, doesn't she need to deliver the placenta? Don't you need medical supplies for this? Or at least to take her to the hospital eventually? Or she could get sick in the future, but that doesn't happen because she didn't have the proper care for the baby, and things might be open or ripped, or I don't know. Um, but apparently that was not what the universe wanted. That was not in the cards. Uh, and it's like, if the baby was taken and you're holding the baby, like, you should have time for the baby to be okay. At least I think the baby should have died. I don't want a baby to die, but like, if it did, it would have been for different reasons. It just kind of was like, the baby's dead, and I'm just like, but no, why? And apparently in the book, the baby lived, and or there was a baby that lived and ended up being the only one alive at the end, which would have been, I think, a better ending, because then it's just, the baby lives, and then it's like it comes full circle. They're the last one on the beach, and then like apparently they're building a sandcastle, and it's like, makes sense, but because these characters, his family, is our protagonist, protagonist, that thing, um, I, I guess it was just like, oh, these kids have to survive, and it was just like, okay, and then the fact that they all had extra clothes and they kept changing and stuff, and the kids were growing faster than the adults, it just was like, I don't know, it just felt like their theory or what however the time worked didn't work, and then they gave the kids all this food, and it felt like the more the kids ate the quicker they grew, so then it kind of made me think that there was something in the food too, and not just the island, but I mean the beach, but who knows. um and they're just like, I'm always so hungry, I'm hungry, and it's just like, okay, I would have the movie would have made more sense if the food they somehow they couldn't get off the beach, but the food was making the kids older, and that was the problem. Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking of ways that this movie just could have worked for me, and then people showed up at the beach at different times, and then there were certain theories that people brought up where I'm like, yeah, that could have worked. Like the guy saying that, oh, like we could go in slowly to the through the rocks, and um that way we can kind of like let ourselves, I guess, what's the word? Acclimate to whatever and get used to whatever vibrations or whatever that this thing is emitting, and we can go in safely. We will age maybe as we go through, but at least we'll get through. It's just going to take some time and patience, and nobody in this speech has patience, and nobody wanted to do it. And I would be the first one to be like, I'm just going to take one step, watch you guys go crazy, take two steps, watch you guys go crazy. Like, I would be the one who would do that. Just, I just think that would have been pretty like self-explanatory, if not the note being decoded quicker, or people actually working together. I get that they all went crazy, but they all went really crazy, and it was just really dramatic, and I don't know what was happening, and scenes were being like cut off left and right, and we were here and we were here, and this kid was there, and then they were in the tent, and then this, and then baby, and then I don't know what was going on. At the end, obviously they go back, and the kids go back, and it's like the next day, or like later on that day, so people are that they met are still on the beach, and like we find out that this whole thing was like an experiment that this the caretaker like made, and there's all these people involved because they're making medicine. They tried out the medicine on people and to see if it works because they're aging quickly and see how long it works for, and apparently it works, but it was just like, I don't know, like could we not have like put them there, like had an actual trial that people signed up for, put them there for a while, and then only if there was a way to get them back off the beach, or tell them, hey, by an hour, or like 30 minutes, when you only like age maybe a year, if you want to age a year, if you don't mind losing a year, or if you want to age like a couple, or maybe they can do a resort on the beach, but then I'm like, I guess I'm just trying to think out of the box here. It's not that it's a good idea, but like there's other things that they could have done for it to have made sense, but then it wouldn't have been the movie, but like it would have made me feel more at peace than what was on the screen because what was going on was a lot, and I don't know, I would have preferred to have seen something different. So yeah, if they had built a resort and said, hey, you want to stay here for this long, we have a pool, we have this, and it's a free vacation for like, and you only stay there for like 30 minutes, and you age a year and you lose a year of your life, and that's on the brochure, like, I don't know. And maybe there could be some problems with that, I don't know. But yeah, and so then the kids go and they tell the cop that one of the kids asked, what's your name and occupation, and then he gives him a book that he found on the beach that basically says all the names of people who had been on the beach, or at least in that time that someone recorded down and left there when they died. And then the guy looks into it. He's like, "Oh, all these people are missing," which I would have thought that people would have realized these people are missing, but okay. Really that many people. There should have been some kind of record of like this person disappeared and this person. Oh, maybe this adds up. Like I don't know. Like it just felt a little unrealistic. And so then he kind of like calls his buddies and they all take care of everything, and then the kids go and they stay with their aunt who now knows that they have grown up. And the end. And I was staring at the screen like, I still don't understand. But okay. Had a good concept, but I didn't like it. So yeah. I hope that review made sense. I hope that if you watched the movie, you enjoyed it. Because I did not. I really wanted to. And I hope to see you guys all soon. My next video will hopefully be a review on The Jungle Cruise because I'm planning on watching that tonight. And let me see what else. I did watch the Netflix movie, The Last Letter to Your Lover, which was based on a book from the lady that wrote me wrote Me Before You, which I still haven't finished, but I love the movie, and the book is really good as well. So I kind of want to do a review on that, but I'm not sure how excited you guys would be for a Netflix movie review. But then it's like it's kind of a thing now, but I don't know how big of a thing it would be to make a review on it. But I kind of want to do that. I just don't think it was that big of a movie that it would have a review for. But yeah, like I said, I'm leaning towards doing that. And the author is Jojo Moyes. Just remembered it. I'm like, the lady. No, she has a name. She's a wonderful author. And yeah, tomorrow the Jungle Cruise review should be out. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. That is it. And I hope to see y'all really soon. Bye!